Hello everyone, welcome back to Atreyu Crochet. So in today's video I will be making another sun hat, and it will be loosely based off of the previous sun hat pattern, but I am going to change a few things. First, I'm going to change the colors. Secondly, I'm changing the type of yarn that I'm going to be using. In the previous sun hat video, I think I used 100% cotton yarn, and then I also showed you, if you watched to the end of the video, you saw that that was my normal medium for, like, for example, brunette type of yarn, and that left us with a stiffer sort of hat, not quite as floppy. This one I want to be floppy again, but I thought it would be cool to use this macrame, and it is cotton, but cotton macrame rope. I just think that will yield a pretty cool result. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Things you will need include 2 colors of this macrame, cotton macrame rope. You need a pair of scissors. You'll need a stitch marker. If you watched last week's video and you've made ties, you're probably happy to only need one and to be using one because we used a lot of stitch markers last week. You need a darning, weave in tapestry needle to weave in the tails, and then I'm going to be using a size J US crochet hook. That is 6 millimeters. Let's get started. So I want the top of my hat to be blue. Okay, so I'm going to start with the royal blue, and we're going to start with the magic circle. Okay, the way you make the magic circle is wrap the yarn like this with the tail in front, and you make a crisscross. So you make an X, bring it around, and hold it like that in between that finger and that one. Now we'll take our crochet hook, go under the first one, over the second one, hook it on, and pull it through like that. Now we'll use our thumb and finger to hold it while we take out our 2 fingers out of the hole. And now we're going to chain 3. So yarn over, chain 1, yarn over, chain 2, yarn over, and chain 3. For those of you who are afraid of the magic circle, see, that was not that bad. Now in this ring we're going to put 11 half double crochets. The way you make a half double crochet is you yarn over, enter the ring, in this case yarn over, pull through to the front for 3 loops, 1, 2, 3, and then you yarn over and go through all 3 loops. So yarn over, go through 1, go through 2, and go through 3. Alright, now we have 10 more to make. So yarn over, enter, yarn over, pull through to the front for 3 loops without splitting your yarn. If you do, just undo it, yarn over, go back in, pull through to the front, 3 loops, 1, 2, 3, yarn over, go through 1, go through 2, go through 3. Alright, right now we have a total of 3 stitches. We have 2 half double crochets, and then that chain 3 counts as a half double crochet as well. So a total of 3 stitches. I'll show you one more time. Yarn over, enter the loop, yarn over, pull through to the front for 3 loops. And once you get fancy, you can yarn over and go through everything in one swoop, like that. Okay. At this point, you can start to pull on this tail to see the magic, to kind of close up that loop a little bit. Okay. So continue putting in the rest of your half double crochets. We have 4 stitches. We should have a total of 12 once we're done adding these half double crochets. So 8 more half double crochets to go, and I will see you there. Now that I have 12 stitches, so the chain 3, which counts as a stitch, plus 11 half double crochets, I'm done with round 1. So I'm going to pull on this tail and close that loop. So I'm just pulling like that. Okay. Notice that I said round, I didn't say row. So because I said round, well, one of the reasons that I said round is because we're going to work in a certain type of round, continuous rounds. And that, you guys, is why we need this stitch marker, which will come soon. Alright, so into that second chain up, there's a chain 3, 1, 2. That's where we're going to put our first half double crochet. So we'll yarn over. Notice we didn't slip stitch. We're just going to yarn over and put a half double crochet in that second chain up, like that. And now we're going to take our stitch marker and we're going to put it on that stitch so that we know once we get back to the beginning of round 2. Okay. Alright, round 2 is an increased round just like round 1 was. We started from nothing basically and increased to 12 stitches. Round 2 is an increased round where we put 2 stitches in every stitch around. So once we're done, we're going to have a total of 24 stitches. So we're going to put 2 half double crochet in every stitch. We already put 1 half double crochet in that second chain up, so we're going to go back in there and put a second one. Like that. Alright, so now you want to go to the next stitch, which, you guys, if you're wondering, so we went into the second chain up, that left a chain right there. This right here, though, is that's the top of the next stitch, that half double crochet. So make sure you don't go into that third chain up, you go into the top of the actual half double crochet to put these next 2 half double crochets. So slice the icing off the top of the cake like that and make your half double crochet. 1 back in there, 4, make sure you go in the same place, 2, like that. And just continue putting 2 half double crochet around, and I'll meet you once we get back to the stitch marker. See you there. At this point in time, I have 22 half double crochet and I have 2 more to make, which is fine. That works out because I have 1 more unused half double crochet. Okay, so I'm just gonna go in there, slicing the icing. It's right before the stitch marker, and I will put 1, so that's the 23rd one, and then 2, that's the 24th stitch. Alright, so now it's time to start round 3 because I see I'm back at the beginning of round 2, so I'll take out the stitch marker. So the pattern for round 2 was 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, right? Pattern for round 1 was just 1 and every 1 around. Pattern for round 2 is 2 in every stitch. The pattern for round 3 is 2, 1. So that means the first stitch will get 2, the second stitch will get 1, the next stitch will get 2, the next stitch will get 1. So we're going to go in here and put a half double crochet in there. And even though we have to put 2, we're going to stop right now and add the stitch marker so we don't lose our place. Now we'll go back in there and put the second one. So that's our 2 going into the first stitch. Now we add the 1 going into the second stitch. So next stitch gets the 1. The next stitch gets 2, so put 2 half double crochet in that same stitch, back in there for 2, and then the next stitch gets 1. Next stitch gets 1, like that. Continue in that fashion, 2, 1, until you get back around to the stitch marker. I'll see you there. I'm now back around. I ended on the 1. Round 3 has a total of 36 stitches because we doubled every other stitch. So every other stitch, that means half of 24, which is 12. So 12 plus the 24 equals 36. Remove your stitch marker and we'll start round 4. The pattern for round 4 is 2 and then 1 half double crochet in the next 3 stitches. So the first stitch will get 2, so we'll put that half double crochet in the first one. And then we'll stop. Even though we need to put 2 here, we'll stop and add our stitch marker so we don't lose our place. It's the danger of working in continuous rounds, but it makes it seamless. And now we'll go back in there and put that second half double crochet. And then in the next 3 stitches, we'll put 1 half double crochet. So yarn over next stitch, gets 1. Next stitch, gets 1. Third stitch, gets 1. And when I say third stitch, I was counting from there, not from that 2. Okay, so it's 2, 1, 1, 1. Now we start over. Next stitch gets 2. And then you can just, you know you're going to put 1 half double crochet in the next 3 stitches, so you can just count to 3. So next stitch, 1, next stitch, that's 2, next stitch, that's 3, and then next stitch starts the pattern over with 2. 1 back in there for 2. You can count it however you want to count it. I like that, but I also alternate. So continue with the pattern 2, 1, 1, 1, and I'll meet you once we get back to the stitch marker. I've now made my way back around. That final stitch got the third one, so 2, 1, 1, 1. Round 4 has a total of 45 stitches because we increased 9 times, so 36, which was the total for round 3, plus 9 is 45. Let's remove our stitch marker and begin row 5 or round 5. Alright, so in that one we're going to put 2 because the pattern for round 5 is 2 and then 1 half double crochet in the next 4. So put the first one there, stop, and add our stitch marker. And now we'll go back in there and put the second one. And now we're going to put 1 half double crochet in the next 4 stitches. So 1, next stitch gets the 2, next stitch gets the 3, next stitch gets the 4. And then the pattern repeats, 2 and then 4 ones, 2 and 4 ones. I will meet you once I get back to the stitch marker. I'm almost back around. It's time to start the pattern one more time. So next stitch gets 2 half double crochet, 1 back in there for 2, and then the final 4 stitches will get 1 half double crochet. Next stitch, 1, next stitch gets the 2, next stitch gets the 3, and final stitch gets the 4. For round 5, we increased 9 times, so 45, which was the total stitch count for the previous round, plus 9 is 54. So round 5 has a total of 54 stitches. Alright, so for round 6 will be easy. We're just going to put 1 half double crochet in every stitch around. We're not going to increase this round. By the way, now's a good time to talk about how large to make your circle. If you're making it for a child, maybe this is sufficient, or a child with a really small head, maybe you didn't even need to do a round 5. You could have stopped at round 4 and then did this non-increase round that we're about to do. I'll tell you what to do if you need to make it larger, this diameter larger to fit someone with a really large head or someone that has a lot of hair on top or something like that a little bit later. But that is the best way, and in my opinion the most universal way of making sure that a hat will fit the intended recipient. Okay, pay attention to make sure that the circle that you're making, that diameter, will fit the crown of the head of the person that you're making it for. Alright, so let's start round 6. Round 6, I'm just going to put a half double crochet in every stitch around. So I'm going to remove the stitch marker, put the half double crochet there, and then I'll replace the stitch marker so I don't lose my place. And instead of going back in there and putting a second one, remember this is a non-increase round, so that means we go to the next stitch and put that half double crochet. So every stitch around we'll just get 1 stitch. Next one, 1. Next one, 1. And so on. Round 6 should have also a total of 54 stitches because we're not increasing. And that was how many stitches round 5 had. I'll meet you once we get back to the stitch marker. So I've clearly made it back around to the stitch marker. I still have a total of 54 stitches. And we're basically going to do exactly what we just did. 1 half double crochet in every stitch around for rounds 7 through 14. However, this time we are going to leave the stitch marker in place. Why do I want you to do that? So that you'll be able to easily count how many rounds you have made, okay, from that point. So if we leave the stitch marker in place, it's in that stitch. When we start round 7 now, we'll just act like it's not there and we'll put our half double crochet in that stitch. Alright, and you may wonder, well, how will you know where the beginning is? Well, this stitch is in that stitch which has the stitch marker, so that begins round 7. Okay. For the next one, the beginning of round 8 will be the stitch that's in that one because that began 7, that began 6. So we'll be able to easily count. It's going to go in a slightly diagonal direction, okay? But we're still just putting 1 half double crochet in every stitch around. So I'll just move this over to the side and go into the next stitch and make my next half double crochet. It's easy to crochet around like that, okay? So now I know that That stitch marker is in round 6, so this is round 7, next will be 8, and so on until we get to round 14. You're also going to notice that now that you've stopped increasing, this is starting to curve, and it's already starting to curve a little bit. You see how it's kind of curving? So this will eventually turn into a bowl. I am going to meet you once I've completed rounds 7 through 14, and exciting news, for round 15 we will change colors. I'll see you in a bit. So I have rounds 7 through 14 crocheted, and I just want to show you, I want to remind you how to tell. Okay, so I put a stitch marker where I'm going to be beginning round 15, but way back here where I told you to leave the stitch marker, remember that stitch marker is attached to the stitch in round 6. So let me zoom in a little bit more now. So this stitch right there, that's in the stitch that has the stitch marker, that's round 7. This is in that one, so that's round 8, round 9, right there, round 10, 11, 12, 13, and that stitch right there that's in that stitch is round 14, which is why I put the stitch marker there. So that means now once we crochet into this, we'll be beginning round 15. But remember, I want to change colors now, so I am going to do just that. So for the next 2 stitches, I am going to make them slip stitches. I'm going to slip stitch into the next 2 stitches. So I'm going to take out this stitch marker, and I don't need the other stitch marker there anymore. It served its purpose by letting me know once I got to round 14, but that was the starting point right there. So since it's just a slip stitch, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change the color right now. So I'm going to grab my white, I'm going to hook it on, and I'm going to pull through the loop like that. And now you see the blue loop is big, but by pulling on it, that'll make it small. You want to make it as small as possible. And then, adjust the size of the white loop that's on your hook, and just keep pulling back and forth until you get the desired tension. And I'm going to tie a couple of knots between the white tail and the former color, that blue, like that. And now that I have the white attached, I no longer need the blue. It's a beautiful blue. Don't worry, we'll come back to it. So I line the white up with the blue and cut. And we will get back to the blue. So for those of you who are curious what length this is right now, so measuring from the top down, and I'll measure it from there to there because this is starting round 15. So there to there, it's about 6.5 inches, which is about 16.5 centimeters. Okay. All right. So what did I say we're supposed to do for the next 2 stitches? Oh yes, we're supposed to slip stitch into them. So this is the next stitch. Once again, this is beginning round 15, so we slip stitch into it. So like that, and just go all the way through for 1. Next stitch, we'll slip stitch and go all the way through like that. Alright, so now we're going to transition to flat stitches. It's kind of like slip stitching, except the difference is instead of going into the top of the stitch like that, like we just did with these 2, we're going to go a little bit lower. There's another bar there in between the stitches with these half double crochets. We want to go under that, so we're going to go in that area that is in between the stitches. Okay, so we slip stitched into that stitch and into that stitch. That means this is the next space, and in that next space, if it helps you, you can act like you're going to slip stitch, but then remember, oh, this is a flat stitch. I want to go down below that bar and go in between the bodies of the stitches and then slip stitch like that. Here's the next one. Oh, but I want to go down past that bar in the center in between the body. Okay, and then once you get it, you can just go directly in between the bodies of the stitches like that. Okay, so just continue making flat stitches around. People also call this like the brain the braided chain, because it just looks like a series of chains, right? So continue in that fashion. I'll meet you once we get back around there. See you soon. So I'm back around, and I'm back to that first slip stitch that we made. Remember the slip stitches, the regular slip stitches were just slicing the icing off the top of the cake and making it. So now I'm going to flat chain or flat braid or slip stitch in between the body of those first two stitches where I did regular slip stitches. So I'm going to go this time in the body, make that loop a little bit smaller. Okay, so go in there. So this is beginning round 16, and then this is the second stitch in round 16. Alright, now I am going to work under these chains that I just made, these slip stitches, these flat slip stitches. So the way you do that, you guys, is very easy. And it's really easy in this case because of this color, white. You'll very clearly be able to see where I'm entering. You're basically going to enter your crochet hook under the chain, under that flat slip stitch, not touching any of the blue, just working solely with that stitch. So now you're slicing the icing off the side of the cake, basically. This is the top of the cake and that's the icing. You're slicing the icing off the side of the cake. Okay, makes sense? Alright, so I'm going to go in there, slice the icing off the side of the cake this time, and I'm going to put one single crochet. So I didn't yarn over, I just entered, did that, and then I'll put a single crochet. In the next stitch, I'm going to slice once again the icing off the side of the cake, and now I'm going to put two single crochet. So as soon as you hear two, back in there for the second one. As soon as you hear two, that should let you know, oh, this is an increase round. Okay. And by the way, I'm starting the round count over, so this is round 1 because now we're starting to work on the brim. So in the first stitch, that flat chain, we put a single crochet. In the next one, we put two single crochet, and we're going to alternate. That's the pattern 1 2 1 2. Slice the icing off the side of the cake, the next stitch, and make a single crochet. And it might be a little bit tight depending on how tight you make those flat chains. And then in the next stitch, slice the icing off the side of the cake and put two single crochet. Okay, back in there for two. Alright, just take your time with this. So continue in that fashion, 1 2 1 2 1 2, and I'll meet you once we get back around here. Once again, this is round 1 of the brim. I am almost back around. As you can see, I have just a couple of more stitches. The next one will get 1, and the one thereafter will get 2. And then I'll be back at that first single crochet that got the 1. That began round 1. So, by the way, you should put a stitch marker on that first single crochet. We should have put one on it before we started, but I just got right into it. So, especially now that we're dealing with the white for several rounds, you don't want to get lost. So 1, and then to finish the pattern, off 2. Back in there for 2. Alright, so now I'm back around, and I'm starting round 2. Rounds 2 and 3 are very easy. We're just going to get 1 single crochet in every stitch. So I'll take out the stitch marker. Now I'm working back into the tops of the stitches. So I'm slicing the icing off the top of the cake like normal, and I'm putting a single crochet. I'm going to immediately replace that stitch marker so I know when I get back around. And as I said, you're just putting 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So this is not an increase round. It just 1 stitch, 1 for 1. Okay, we're going to do this for this round, which is round 2, and then you'll do another round, round 3, exactly the same, and I'll meet you at the beginning of round 4. The pattern for round 4 will be 2 single crochet in the first stitch and 1 single crochet in the next 7. So I've crocheted rounds 2 and 3, and now I'm beginning 4. As I said, in the first stitch we'll go 1 single crochet, which you guys know. Alright, so in the first stitch we'll go 2 single crochet, but you guys know that I always stop, I pause, and I replace the stitch marker before I put the second one, so I don't forget and so I don't lose my place. And now I go back in and put the second single crochet, and then one single crochet in the next 7. So let's go. 1, next stitch, 2, next stitch, 3, next stitch, 4, next stitch, 5, next stitch, 6, next stitch, 7. And then I repeat the pattern again. Next stitch gets 2 again, back in there for 2, and then 1 single crochet in the next 7. Continue in that fashion. By the way, this is an increase round. Why? Because I put more than 1 stitch in the stitch. So round 4 is an increase round, round 4 of the broom. Alright, I'll meet you once I get back there. See you soon. So at the end of round 4, you're going to notice that it ends, the pattern will end with 2 and then 5. And you might be wondering, why weren't there enough stitches to put 1 single crochet into the 7? Well, remember when we did that transition, we slip stitched into those first 2 stitches, so it took away a couple of the stitches that we could use in the pattern. But it doesn't matter. The point is that we needed to increase this round, and we did successfully. Okay. All right. So now beginning round 5, the pattern is 210. Okay. So instead of 27, it's 210. So I'll take this out. I'm gonna put 2 single crochet. All right. So I put 1 like that, and then I stop, and I replace the stitch marker. And then I go in there and put the second one. And now I'm going to put 1 single crochet in the next 10. So that's 1, next stitch 2, next stitch 3, next stitch 4, next stitch 5, next stitch 6, next stitch 7, next stitch 8, next stitch 9, final stitch 10, and then the pattern repeats. So 2 in the first one, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Next stitch will get 2 because the pattern repeats back in there for 2, and then followed up with 10. Okay, continue in that fashion, and I'll meet you back around here. So it actually worked out this time. Was this round 5, 2, 10? It worked out. I know the next one won't. Okay, so the pattern for round 6 is 2, 13. Okay, so I'll replace stitch marker after I put that first single crochet in there. Alright, I'll stop, and then replace it, and then go back in there and put a second one. And then I'm just going to put 1 single crochet in the next 13. A lot of you guys are beginners, but you're not such a beginner that you need to see me do this one more time. So I'm not going to do it. I'm going to trust that you will know how to follow the pattern after I've just shown you it twice with 2, 7, and 2, 10. So now it's time for you to do 2, 13. This one will not work out. I remember when I was crocheting this pattern, creating it. So yeah, I'll meet you once we get to the beginning of round 7. See you there. I've made it back around, and the final iteration of that pattern was 211, which is expected. Okay, so now for round 7, we're going to put 1 single crochet, and then we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to skip 2 stitches and repeat that. So in this first stitch, I'll put 1 single crochet like that. Replace the stitch marker immediately, and now I'm going to chain 2. So chain 1, chain 2. I'm going to skip the next stitch, so skip 1, skip 2, okay, and then in that third stitch over, I'm going to put the next single crochet like that. So the 2 chains will mirror the 2 skip stitches, and then I'll repeat that. Chain 1, chain 2, skip 1, skip 2, and in that third one, put your single crochet. Continue in that fashion around, and I'll meet you close to the end. Alright, so I'm almost done. I got 3 more stitches, so I chained 2, I'm skipping 1, 2, and in that final stitch of round 7, I'm putting a single crochet. Okay, so it worked out very nicely. Alright, so for round 8, I'm just going to put 1 single crochet in every stitch. And in the chain 2 spaces that I created, I'm going to put 2 single crochet in there. Okay, 1 single crochet for every chain, basically. Okay, so in this stitch, that's the first one of round 9. I'm sorry, of round 8. I'm going to put a single crochet. I'll replace the stitch marker. And now I arrive at the chain 2 space. So I'm going to put 1 single crochet for the first chain, another single crochet in there for the second chain, and then I'm at the single crochet. So put a single crochet, slicing the icing off the top of the cake. Now I'm at the next chain 2 space, 1, a second single crochet, and then slice the icing off the top of the cake for the actual single crochet. Chain 2 space, gets 2 single crochet in there, and then slice the icing off the top of the cake for the single crochet. Chain 2 space, 1, and then 2 for those 2 chains, and then at the single crochet, slice the icing off the top of the cake and make your single crochet. Continue in that fashion, and I'll meet you once you get back around here. I am almost back around. I put the 2 single crochet in that chain 2 space, and I'm going to put 1 more in the final stitch right there before the stitch marker. But before I complete the stitch, I want to switch colors. So we're now going to go back to the blue. Okay, so I have that. Now I want to hook on the blue so that I'm ready to start blue when I start round 9. Okay, so I'll pull that, and I'm going to tie a couple of knots between the white, which I'm about to cut, and the blue, which I'm starting. Okay, so like that. 1, and then 2. Alright, so I'm done with the white for now. I'm going to use it one more time. And these tails don't need to be this long, you can cut it there. And now I'm ready to start round 9. So the pattern for round 9 will be 2 single crochet, and then in the first stitch, and then 1 in the next 15. So I'm just going to do the first one, because you guys, even though a lot of you are beginners, you know how to do this already, because I've shown it several times now. Just trying to get my yarn situated. Alright, so I'm going to take out the stitch marker like normal. Put my 2 single crochet in there. I'll put the first one. Alright, and then I'm going to replace the stitch marker. It's always easy to see the beginning of the round where you're changing colors at the beginning, but you still want to keep the stitch marker because you're not changing colors all the time. Alright, and then go back in there and put the single crochet, and now we're going to put 1 single crochet in the next 15. Continue in that pattern. I'll meet you once we get back around to the stitch marker. So for those of you who are wondering, the pattern ended on 2 and 6. Okay, so now we're going to start round 10. We will take out the stitch marker, and round 10 is a non-increase round. Round 9 was an increase, obviously, but round 10 is non-increase. Okay, so we just put 1 single crochet in every stitch around. Replace the stitch marker, of course, without splitting the yarn. And then, yeah, just 1 single crochet in every stitch around, like that. I'll meet you once we get back to the marker. Alright, so we're back around. We've completed round 10, and pretty much we're done with the length of this hat. Okay, I want to switch yarn one more time, and I'm just going to do a round of slip stitches around, but I want to do it in the other color. So I'm going to hook on the white. You guys know I love my colors, and I get very creative when it comes to them. I'm going to pull on the blue to make that loop disappear, get as small as possible, and then I'm going to adjust the loop on my crochet hook. And then once I get everything just right, tugging on both yarns, then I will tie a couple of knots. Like that. 1, and then 2. Alright, and then I'm going to cut my yarn. I will cut the blue because I'm not working with that now. And now around, I'm just going to put slip stitches in. When you take the stitch marker out now, you don't need to replace it because this is the last round. Round 11 is just a round of slip stitches in the other color. So I put 1 into there, slip stitch, and now because I want the blue to show and the white to be in between, I'm going to go down a row, and I'm going to slip stitch as well. You guys just see what I'm doing. So I went down, see how it kind of curved down, and now I'm going to work in between the stitches in this row. Okay, so the row that's under this final row, just go in there and slip stitch across. Okay, so go in between. I went in between that one and that one. I'm going in between this one and that one, like that, and slip stitching. Now I'm going in between that one and that one and slip stitching. And you see when I do that, not only does it put the white there, which looks nice, but it also leaves the edge of blue. Okay, so just continue working in between those stitches all the way around, and I'll meet you once we get back here. I'm almost back around. Got one more slip stitch, and then just to bring it over there, I'm going to go here so it looks like I've completed the circuit, like that. Okay, and now I am going to chain one, and I'm going to cut my yarn like that. Pull it in. Now I'm going to use my crochet hook. Let me rotate this. I'm going to bring that yarn to the inside, as I always like to do. So just go through a nearby loop, yarn over, pull through, and then I have to chain one to create a knot, and then when I pull, it's secure, and this will tend toward the inside, which I want, and this will serve as a tag. You can weave these in, but I'm going to tie a couple of knots. I'm not going to miss the opportunity to make more knots just to further secure it, since I have nearby yarn, which I can do that. And then yeah, you can cut all these down, you can weave them in, whatever you want to do. Okay, so I'll show you how to weave in one of them. Let's see, the blue, because we have some blue up here that we can successfully weave in. Okay, this isn't that much of a tail, but we'll do the best that we can. There are already knots that are created, so it's already secure, but if your tail was longer, or if you're someone that really gets nervous about your work unraveling, this is what you do. So just feed it through some stitches, and these are kind of tight stitches because they're single crochets. So as you see, I'm having a hard time pulling that through that way, so you know it's going to be hard for it to unravel. And then because the tail is so short, I'm going to insert my darning weaving tapestry needle where I want the yarn to go first, and then I will feed the yarn through. This is a little trick that you can do when you have short yarn, and then get that in there like that, and then pull it through. Once again, see how hard it is to even get it through, so you know it would take a lot to unravel. Alright, and then I'm going to cut this down like that. Alright, and these, you can tie a couple of more knots if you want. You can weave them in, you can cut them down even more and just let it serve as a tag. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through another loop, nearby loop, and just pull them down like that. And then yeah, I'll figure out what I want to do. Maybe I'll come down later, or maybe I'll leave it there. That'll serve as my tag. We'll see. Anyway, those are just some options. I just want to show you a few things. Okay, I can take the stitch marker out now. I could have taken it out a long time ago. Sometimes I just leave them in for a while. Okay, so you see, this is the back where these braids come together. That's the back. And you guys know me. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you know I like colors for one, and I like to be creative. I think that is amazing. I love the look. I love the gaps that was created by those chain 2 spaces, and yeah, this is beautiful. But I see all this white, and I'm like, I can do something with that white. Yes. I'm going to do some slip stitches in this white. I'm going to find the middle point, and I'm just going to do a band of blue slip stitches. So Yeah, that's the plan. Okay, so after thinking about this for a little bit, I think I figured out probably the easiest way to get this yarn attached and to start this round of slip stitches. And by the way, this is just the tail if you're wondering what that is. From this round of the chain, we're going, well, the center point, this is the back, right? So I'm going to go up, and I'm going to start it there, okay? So 1, 2, 3. All right, so you're going to make a slip knot like we did at the very beginning of this tutorial, like that. And you pull it down, okay? And what you're going to do is take this out. Here's where you want to come in to grab it. So from there, so this is there, right? So you want to come in like this, enter, and then you can just kind of take it out and grab the loop up under here like that, hook it on, and then pull it through to the front like that. And now we can tighten the loop. And don't worry, this will secure as we start to slip stitch around, but also when we get back around we'll tie a couple of knots to make sure it's secure. Okay, so now I'm going to start my round of slip stitches, okay, like normal. So the yarn is coming from up under, as you see, and if this moves too much right now, in fact, let's just make the first slip stitch so it stays still. So just go in between the stitches, so here, and then on this side we're yarning over like that, and you're pulling through to the front to go through the loop. Like that, okay? And then the next space is there, yarn over, pull through the body of the hat, and then through the yarn to create the slip stitch. Over, yarn over, pull through the body of the hat first, and then through the yarn. Okay, and if this is moving too much, now we can tie a knot, but I think we're good. Okay, so let's see, can I get this any closer? No. All right, so in between, like that, and I'm going to go to the other side. As you can see, I yarn over, and now I'm pulling through the body of the hat there. Okay, so I'm going to pull that through the white. This is what it looks like on this side when I'm coming through the white. Can you see that? And now I go through the actual loop, creating the slip stitch. So you're just going to continue doing that around, and you'll get to the point, if you're a beginner, you'll get to the point where you don't need to look at what's going on the other side. You can feel it. Okay, like I don't need to look, I can keep it on this side, feel the yarn being attached to the loop, and then pulling through, and it's easier that way because you don't to keep flipping back and forth. Okay, so continue doing that, and I will meet you once we get back around here. Hopefully that's understandable and not too complicated. I tried to make it really simple because I know a lot of beginners watch this. And by the way, this round that we're doing is extra. It's just optional because I felt like being creative, but you could have stopped at any point before now. You didn't even have to do this band, white band of slip stitches, but I really think that looks good, and I think this will look well as well. Alright, I will see you guys in a bit. So I'm back around, and it's gonna look like we're at two different levels, right? It looks like that's higher than that, but if you look at what's below, you see 2 rounds below here and 2 rounds below here. So the discrepancy lies in the fact that we were working in continuous rounds. Alright, so what we're gonna do to resolve that is to go down one, right where we entered. We'll go in the same place we entered to start this, and we'll make a slip stitch. Okay, and then we will cut our yarn and fasten off like that. Now it's time to further secure this. So we're gonna use our crochet hook, grab, let's come on the other side of the stitch. Alright, you guys are gonna kill me because it wasn't recording when I just showed how to finish this off. Okay, so I got back around and then I put the final slip stitch, right? I went into where I started and put the slip stitch there. Okay, so that was there. I cut my yarn and I pulled it through. So, and then I brought it through on the other side of where I started, so that on this side I would be able to tie a couple of knots around that stitch. So I'm going to see if I can undo this and show you. It's going to be a little bit challenging because I'm working with, the yarn is much shorter now because I thought I had showed you everything that I needed to, but yeah, so let's see. Okay, so I have this itty bitty tail, right, of where I started. So, and then I told you, after you saw me do the final slip stitch where I started, okay, and then I cut my yarn and I pulled the yarn, because remember it was coming from the back through to the front. So now I went on over to the next stitch from where I started. So I started there, I went over here, brought my crochet hook in, and pulled it to the back side. And so basically that leaves me with a tail here from where I started and a tail there on the other side, and now I can tie a couple of knots. Alright, so I tied a couple of knots. So one, this is so tough because the tails are short now. Your tails will be longer when you're doing this, so you'll have an easier time than me. One, and then I checked to make sure it looked good on this side, which it does, and then I tie the second one, okay? So just do that, and I'll meet you after. By the way, I also said while I apparently was not recording that the reason I decided to tie a couple knots and cut it down is because of all the white. There was just no good place to try to weave in that yarn without it bleeding through the white and affecting the actual look of it, so that's why I did it that way. But yeah, it turned out really well. So I'm going to clean this up a bit and then I will show you the finished product, just weaving in tails and such. Isn't this a beautiful sun hat? I absolutely love this. Yeah, let me know if you like this one. Those colors are really cool. Remember that magic circle we had at the beginning of this video? Don't forget about it. You can close that up by just pulling on it. Okay? And then weave this yarn around. And then it'll be secure. Alright, so this is the finished product. It is beautiful, isn't it? I think this is a wonderful sun hat. Here's the back. I mean, got the beautiful royal blue kicking it off, and then the white. And then we got this one round of the gaps, which will look really cool, especially when the sun is kind of shining through them and you can see it on the ground. You got the band of blue, the band of white, you got the blue edge. I just think this is an awesome sun hat. And it seems like you guys enjoyed the previous sun hat video, so I wanted to make another one, but I really more so wanted to make one using this type of macrame rope. I really like working with it. I like the feel of it. I like the weight of it, the heaviness of it. Yeah, this is just a beautiful creation. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. You know I will see you in the next one. In the meantime, happy crocheting.